Okay, so a while ago, I'd done some work here and I put an outlet into this box, into the wall, but I haven't wired it up yet. So it's not wired up downstairs. And I'm just going to put an outlet on here, but I wanted to point something out, but every now and then this happens. The box that the outlet's going to screw to is a little recessed in. So I'm going to show you how we overcome that. Got here one outlet. I've got some longer screws. I went out and got some 632s, 1.5 inch. 632 is the size of the screw. The screw's a number 6 screw, 32 threads per inch, and 1.5 inches long. And that's so that we can get the depth that we want. So let's wire up this plug. And so I'm going to cut the sheathing. Like so. And then I'm going to figure out how long my wires have to be just by giving it a little bit of a loop here. And I'll put my thumb there. And then I'll cut them, and then I'll strip them. These are, again, a 14 gauge. So here, and I've explained this on other videos as well, on my wire snips here, I've got numbers running down here with the strippers. This is a 10 gauge, 12 gauge, 14 gauge, and what this does, it'll cut through the sheathing without cutting the wire. So if I place the wire inside the groove that's labeled as 14, give it a little twist there to make sure it cuts all the way around, and then it just pulls right off. If I can keep my grip on it, there we are. And the sheathing comes off and the wire stays behind. So let's strip those and we'll get them on the plug. I'm going to give them a little bend on the end here so that when I hook it around the screw, it'll stay there. I won't want to slide out. So we put the ground wire in, and here we're going to put the white on the silver. Now, a handy point to think about is that when you're tightening up the screw, and the screw is going in a clockwise direction when it's tightening up, that's the side here that you want the wire to be on. If you put the wire on the other side, as you tighten it up, you'll be pushing the wire back out of the screw. But when you're tightening it up here, it'll have a tendency to pull the wire into the outlet instead of pushing it out. So let's make sure we get that hook right in there. Tighten it down, and then it'll clamp it in nice and secure. Flip this over. I'm going to do the same thing here. Now some places you go into, you see that the orientation of the plug where the ground outlet is facing down or it's facing up. I don't think it matters, but have a look around the house. Make sure that they all match, because nothing looks more horrible than when you look at a wall, you see two outlets and they're not oriented in the same manner. So let's just make it look good. Now to fill the space that I'm going to have here, I hunted around until I found some something that I could use. And these are just some old plastic washers that I had left over from a job that I had done. And it's about the right size. So I'm going to take my screws and I'm going to put it through the bottom hole here, through my washer behind, so that it looks like this, and then I can thread it in there. Yeah, I'm going to get most of the way in, and then I'm going to put one in the top, and that way we can line it up when we're done there. I'm not doing this live. I have in the past, but I guess experience has taught me that it just makes sense to shut off the power or disconnect it, or somehow, either at the breaker panel or a switch. As long as the switch is wired properly, turning off the switch will disable the power. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And I'm going to leave it uncovered because we're going to paint anyway, so we'll leave it uncovered. I'm going to go downstairs and we're going to hook this up to a power source. Okay, so I found this box, and when I'm looking at the box, I'm seeing that it's got a few wires going into it. This one here, the one that's going straight up, I see that it's going to the dishwasher. I know that because I'm underneath the kitchen. And so when I start to trace the other lines, let's trace this one here. It's going up and over, down, around, down, down. Sorry you can't see me, I'm way over here. And that one goes to the island outlet that I wired up last week. The other one in here, it's going here to the microwave. Okay. So we've got the dishwasher, the island, the microwave, and two other wires. Let's follow this one here and see where it goes. It goes along and out and to another junction box. And the last one I'm going to follow. And I'm going to follow it all the way into the other room, and it goes to the electrical panel. Now that's telling me right now that this one here's got power, and it does. And the one coming from the junction box, I'm not sure about it yet. So let's open up this box and let's have a look and see what's inside. Okay. These, you just got to loosen them enough just to get the screw off, and then we're looking in. And when I'm looking at this, I see two yellow morettes. And it's nice if you put the same colors with the same line. So these two are connected together. And I'm seeing that that one's connected to the dishwasher. The other one's connected to the power that comes from the electrical panel. So that's telling me the other two, the microwave, the island, and that other wire, the other wire that's coming from the junction box, has got to be the one I'm on. So I'm going to undo these power lines and be very careful that I'm not going to touch those copper ends, because I don't know which one's the live one yet. Okay, so I'll grab my tester, and that's the live one, the first one I hit. So the first one I hit is coming from the junction box. So I got three of them together there. I don't really want to overload that circuit anymore because I don't know what else is connected to that junction box. in the old houses, you have to be very careful because sometimes junction boxes were just put in just to extend a wire, not to necessarily make a connection to another circuit. So you just gotta keep that in mind. I change that moret. It's a bit rusty in there and it's not holding up. It's one of the problems with these old houses too, especially ones that don't have finished basements, moisture. We're on a well system, and this is the area where water's coming into the house, so it can tend to get a little wet. The sump pump basin is located in this area as well. So let's keep those ones all together, and we'll tuck that away. And we'll use this line. So it's coming from the electrical panel, and there's only one circuit on it. And that's to the dishwasher. So putting an extra outlet into a dishwasher is not a big deal, because the rare times that you're going to overload a circuit like that is it, to me, an acceptable risk. So let's follow this line back to the electrical breaker, and we'll disconnect the breaker. So let's take a look here. All right. I know it's this one. So I see it coming on the other side of a joist. Give this one a pull. There it is. I see it wiggling on the other line. So I pull, and I just keep moving along until I get to the electrical box, so I can know which wire. You'll thank me for this in the long run. And it's going this way. It's going underneath that pipe. So let's hit that pipe there. Goes to here. Goes to there. Goes to there. Goes to here. Goes to there. And it goes to here. So that's going to give me something to test. Will be right here. I'll test this wire when I start hitting breakers. So the first thing I'm going to look at here is, let's see if there's actually anything on there. It's going to tell me that I did that. Kitchen outlet. There's a possibility. 13, line to attic not used. So let's hit 13. I don't hear any. Hey, it's number 13. So number 13 is the one. Let's test it again by turning it on, and we get full power, and then turning it off, and we get nothing. So the power's off on number 13. That's where I ran the wire. So the wire's coming down. I've got it here in a coil. So I basically got to run it back through and up through some joists and bring it to my box, which is way down there. Okay, so let's pre-measure the wire, cut it, and then we'll fish it through. Okay, just to let you know, I ended up cutting about another 8 feet more than what I'm really going to need. But that's okay, because a lot of times all you need are small wires to make junctions, so 8 feet, so what? I'd rather have 8 feet too much than 1 foot not enough. It's not a waste. So, actually, I'm going to put it on this side anyway. So let's cut the wire. There, that should give me lots. And this one here, I'm going to feed it through this open section. Like so. Now it's a good time to make sure that power's still off coming to that circuit. And it is. Good. You have to be careful when you're poking around in boxes, because with AC current, it tends to migrate from one wire to another. So even though you're testing it and it may beep, it'll be a slow beep like that, meaning that it's not actually energized. What we're getting is a residual energy from here. So if you need to double check it, never hurts, but constant beeping is never good. Okay, let's tighten up our clamps here all around. We're going to take off these yellow marats. Now the yellow marats will connect a whole bunch of wires together if they're small. Let's see. I'll read it here on the box. Wish my eyes were better. It'll do a minimum of 2 18 gauge, a maximum of 3 12 gauge for the yellow. Well, we've got 2 14s in there, and 14 is a smaller wire than a 12, so that's okay. But I want to get 3 wires. Maximum 3 number 12. A yellow would do 3 number 14s. If it'll do 3 12s, it'll do 3 14s because it's smaller. So I'll continue to use the yellow on this one here, and it only makes it easier to differentiate when you're actually looking in the box of what blacks go with what whites. So here you're looking, you see, oh, there's 2 reds, so those are all belong to the same circuit. Don't take that for granted, actually, because some people, especially the do-it-yourselfers who don't pay attention to that kind of thing, will just use whatever wire nuts willy-nilly, and that'll cause you some grief. So always check, double check, verify. You can never be too safe when it comes to doing your own wiring at home. Might as well say while I'm at it here too, if you're not comfortable with this type of thing, so what I'm doing here is I'm connecting all of the grounds together. Grounds are just a safety, but it gives a uninterrupted direct path in event of a short circuit for the electricity to get out and to back to its source rather than going through the building or your body. Cut those and get my wire strippers here. We'll strip those number 14s. Don't strip these wires longer than the length of the marat, because you don't want anything sticking out. Interestingly enough, the whole idea behind electrical boxes in the house came not from a safety aspect, but from something a little bit more practical. It kept rodents out of the electrical connections, because when wires make contact, they generate a little bit of heat, and mice can sense that, and they go after the heat, and then they end up chewing your wires and causing a fire. So the safety aspect came not because having an open connection was unsafe. It was because it attracted rodents. Look that up. It's amazing, eh? Anyway, it's code now, and all junctions need to be inside of a box. So put them in a box. Alrighty. Make sure everything's tucked in there and clean. I'm gonna go turn on the breaker, and we're gonna make sure we got power going through this wire. Okay. And just like that, that's a good sound. So now I can cover up this box to keep the rodents out, which out in the country we don't have. You get them when you disturb the earth outside, but otherwise rodents aren't something we get here. I guess out in the country there's more food outside than there is inside, so they just go outside. All right, let's go check upstairs, make sure that we got power up there as well. Okay, let's have a look here. We're all done. We tested all downstairs. Everything looks good. And yay, we've got power. I always check both of them just to make sure I didn't put in an outlet that has a severed connection on the hots. So that's it. Outlet wired.